Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toku Portal podcast for Machin Sentai Kiramager.
What were you about to
I'm
say?
I almost said Kamen Rider Zero One. Not even gonna lie, and I have no idea why. I am Vashi V, and joining me today is
Right.
Pixie Cat.
Welcome to Kiramager episode. What is this? 8. Episode
yep.
8. So the white, like the white Mashin has appeared, but it's just an illusion in Juru and Garuza's minds. No one else can see it.
Like they explain why why Juru was able to see it, but does it necessarily explain why Garuza can see it? I guess it's just because
He's in the
seen it
royal line.
before. Right.
I'd say it's because, even though he doesn't have the power to create the mushroom himself, he does have, probably has enough Kiramental to,
Picture it.
envision it.
And he is also the king's brother, so knowing that is the king's power in red, then it's probably the same thing for him. He's from his bloodline, so he can see it.
And so, with Juru having passed out, the others decide to withdraw from the fight, and the monster passes out as well, because he burned through too much of his energy and needs to recharge.
Don't you hate when that happens?
This whole thing leads me to a problem that I'm going to get to in a second, but I love the fact that the Rangers retreated, and the way they did it was, hey, you two distract him real quick while everybody else runs the fuck away. And that was great. The fundamental issue I have with the monster power, powering down, is technically they could have just went back after Garuza left and just beat the crap out of the monster while it was asleep. I don't necessarily understand why they waited.
No, because the machines needed to be fixed. The gems were cracked.
And
right.
As I pointed out, they need red. They can't form into the bot without red.
Well, no, they can't, because they can't form into the main mech without them.
Right.
And also the fact that they did point out that later on in the episode that the mech can be piloted without him. The redstone can handle it.
Yeah, but we don't know that yet. At this point in the episode, we have to assume it's worst case scenario that redstone's down for the count, Juru's not waking up, and we get to see that the stones can be destroyed. They're all pretty badly cracked.
Also, they still have to defeat Oven.
There's that too.
And then everyone starts fucking criticizing Juru for passing out on them. And they want to train him even harder.
To include the doctor, who should fucking know better.
That's been my biggest problem with both this episode and the last episode. Pink is a top-notch surgeon, like one of the best. Exhaustion from overexertion is like basic healthcare 101. It's really bothered me that throughout all this, the princess has been more knowledgeable about this than the doctor. Like, it makes no sense that Pink has no idea of what they're doing to Red.
They're just too wrapped up in their, we're going to make him better because we feel he needs to be better.
And then finally the redstone, opens his mouth and says something and yells at them for training him too hard. And Pink's like, but he was doing it without complaint. No, he wasn't! He fucking said, let me rest last episode.
Right. But it was the fact that he still went along with it, I guess, was her reasoning for that.
That still wasn't without complaint.
Right.
And then Mabushina relates this to her father doing something similar, where he puts himself out for his people too much and overextends himself. Even Garuza had questioned back then, like, hey, why do you do so much for your people? And the king replies with, do you need a reason to help someone?
Which, if you're bad, yes, yes, you do.
To correlate this to what we saw last week, hey Yua, learn to help people.
So, Juru, in his physically exhausted state, uh, falls into a deep REM sleep where he dreams so hard his spirit shoots into somewhere and he meets King Oladin. Did I get that right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess.
this
Though
is a
on
very confusing part of the episode because I know you're going to argue with me, so stop before you even start.
What is this?
We still don't know for 100% that he's alive or he's dead. I'm assuming he's dead.
I'm
But
going
I
off
know
this that
shush.
he's alive.
And so this could be him receiving the king's memories from his powers, and they have a little out of body trans chat like in Harry Potter after Dumbledore's dead and he goes sees him.
Yeah, but this isn't King's Cross.
It's Power Ranger King Cross.
Um, my main reason for thinking that this is at the moment about the most proof that we're going to get that he's alive is the way he explains it is their Kira mental synced because he was so exhausted that it for some reason it just synced it and that let this happen. So it could be just the king is also passed out wherever the hell he's being held. And then Juru passed out, so it just drug them together.
That makes sense.
Which is
Given the
another
fact-
good possibility.
Given the fact that during all this, Juru was drawing in real life.
Yeah, no, they made it clear that only Juru's spirit would travel to somewhere.
Right. But while his spirit was drawing something, his body drew
Like,
the same thing.
like we know that he went to Crystalia, but that's all we know. Somewhere in Crystalia.
He went over that rainbow.
So I want to bring up the point of why everyone was acting like an idiot to Juru. Like, with overworking him and training him too hard to the point of exhaustion. All that was a means to an end. That was from a storytelling perspective, like, they needed Juru to be so physically exhausted they could explain that, like, hey, in this kind of state his spirit is heightened so he can kind of visit the king in his dreams. So does that really justify what the others put him through?
No, because we've seen similar situations between across Rider and Sentai before. They could have came up with any number of reasons. They could have literally just they could have done it the intelligent way of doing the Ryotaro thing, where he literally was just training himself to exhaustion, which I think would make more sense than them, the intelligent people, to not be intelligent. Because at least three of the four, should have known better. Senna with her athleticism knows rest is needed. Suguru with his the kendo and all of that, that's a basic thing of exhaustion is bad. And the doctor with her judo and the fact of being a freaking doctor. Three of the four should have known better.
And to
I,
add
I
in on that, we've already had two other episodes where we've had the same scenario within Kiramager that when you suppress the one thing that makes you special, that makes you sparkle, then it causes a lot of problems. We've already seen this happen with two other characters, so there's no reason for them to still be doing this here. Like they've expressly put this out more than once. You have to do what makes you shine. And yet that's all disregarded and they continue to be like, "No, you can't draw. You got to do this."
okay, so it wasn't them going, "You can't draw." It was, "That's great and that's awesome. Continue doing that, but you need to learn how to fight."
Yeah, it was more of a you don't have time to draw. You have to do this other stuff first.
because
Right,
you
but
need
they left
because you
him no time to draw. He had
right,
3
but
hours a day to sleep and the rest of it was training.
right, but it wasn't so much of them going, "You can't do this because you're not allowed to do this." It was more, "We need to get you trained so you're actually useful in a fight." Because in theory, at this point, physically between all of them, he would be the weakest because he's a freaking kid and all he does is draw. So he's probably not the most athletic of people. So like
Yeah, but still,
the
with
idea
what
makes
we've
sense.
already seen.
But like I said, like, it wasn't so much of them going, "You're not allowed to do this." It was, "Sorry, you don't have time to do it now."
Also, the fact that Juru is in high school has not mattered at all.
No, 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 it
It
doesn't.
hasn't been brought up since episode 1.
And honestly, I don't think it majorly will affect anything.
I don't think it would have any real effect, but if this show was going to incorporate slice of life elements by showing the characters, in their normal daily lives, then showing us Juru in school would be a part of that.
Like, as much as I don't want to hearken to it, this is something that Power Rangers got really, really good with, was the fact of the consequences of them going off and doing this crap. Like, they continuously had detention, had after school lessons, you know, Tommy in general, because Tommy missed a whole lot of school, being down for the count and kidnapped by Rita. So, like, they did a good job of incorporating the fact that they were teenagers in school. This has done nothing for that. It was literally, "Hey, he's a student. Doesn't matter. Move on."
So, King Oladin helps Juru draw a picture, commenting that he believes he can entrust Juru with his unfulfilled wishes. The picture is that of a warehouse that, when Juru finds it, is actually being used to store the full-size version of the white gem that Mabushina rode to Earth in.
And of course, he shows up like a homeless person in his pajamas.
Good old
Without his
Sogo.
ranger. And of course, the guards see him and they're immediately like, "Wait, stop. You're not supposed to be here. Leave."
Oh
He's
no,
like,
you guys! And then
"I'm a
he's like,
ranger."
"Oh no, you guys work for Carrot? Oh, no, I'm a Kiramager." Yeah, kid, go back to school. Like, if not for Garuza and Mabushina showing up, that wouldn't have gone any further.
Yeah, Garuza shows up and attacks them, ready to finish Juru off. Juru rushes the guards off the scene, and Garuza's like, "Why are you bothering to help them when your life is in danger?" And Juru responds with, "Do you need a reason to help someone?"
Which sets off his hate boner.
Sets off all of his sibling complexes all at once.
Luckily, Mashuria shows up and gives him his changer.
And also, can we point out the fact that she sent it down the train track?
Yeah, she sent it rolling like a yo-yo down the train track up to him.
Let it rip!
I hate that I recognize that. I really hate that I recognize that.
Yeah, that was just crazy that he left without it, number one, which there was no reason for him to, and then that she thinks to bring it with her.
Okay, if
So we did not see her carrying it out of there other than the stone.
he he was in a rush, he'll be like, wait, I just talked to King Oladin and he left me with this message. I need to find out what this means. He left in such a rush, he didn't even realize he was still in his pajamas. Which, by the way, who changed him into his pajamas?
He never explained that.
There's, I honestly think there are 3 perspective answers, and they're all kind of creepy.
I
Okay,
think it was the
let's
guy
move
that
on.
owns this place.
Not creepy in a like in a disturbing way, but I mean it would be either Sayo, which would make sense. She's literally a doctor. Mabushina, which would have been weird, or whatever the hell his name is.
Tamitono, Shigeru, the chief.
The guy from Carrot.
The chief?
Yeah, the chief from the
I
chief.
don't remember his name.
The only thing I remember is the April Fool's joke from TV Nihon, where it was like a screen length freaking name.
And Drago is appreciating the Beyblade reference.
He also thinks you have a cool eye patch.
Thank you. It goes with the wig that I had on last week.
So, Mabushina teleports herself and Juru inside the stone, where Juru turns it into the white train that he saw in his vision.
Not just any train, a super speed train.
Hey, Rai, where'd we see this before?
Literally multiple
Literally every
times.
other train thing we've ever seen a train in Sentai or Rider. Every time. Every time.
I was just waiting for the Den-O theme song to start.
So,
Super Shinko!
we are now approaching. Please wait behind the white line.
While we steal your shit.
So, Juru catches up with the others who are already fighting Oven, and they all apologize except for Tametono, who admits he was wrong but doesn't actually say sorry.
My bad. Which is very in character for him.
He has the most personality of anyone.
For not really having personality. he is the most he's the most one-dimensional person with personality we've ever had in Sentai in a while. And also, why did he unhenshin?
To talk to them face to face rather than through a mask, I would say.
I understand that, but it was literally not necessary. I get the whole point of it, but it was just, you were literally just transformed. You untransformed them, in theory, once you got here, got out, told them this crap, and now you're transforming again. You could have just stayed transformed and saved everybody a lot of time. But, Sentai's got a roll call.
And we gotta appreciate the fact that here we actually get to see Red act like a leader and be like, no, I'm not accepting your apologies. And he turns his back on them and really scares them for a moment.
And then pulls because you've got nothing to apologize for. You were doing what you thought was right. And it works. And it paid off, so.
See, they got their scare, but they also learned their lesson.
No, I think they learned their lesson at the end of the episode.
Something like that.
Hopefully.
So,
So now they all roll call.
and we get a pretty good choreographed fight sequence. What did you think?
I would say the fight was really good. I enjoyed it. Um, it wasn't the masterful camera work that we've truly come to enjoy, but it was still up there. And it did show them more in sync than they've been in a while.
And we get a finisher called Kirame Rush Stream, but all I could think when watching it was Final Wave!
Yes, because literally, it was literally the standard final wave, except for the fact that Red wasn't involved. 2 guns, 2 swords.
But then Red steps forward, holding a gun and a sword, just like Marvelous, and for a moment, you thought that he was going to.
He was going to. Yeah, I have expected it to end with him launching his into it to make it that final shot.
So they take out Oven and combine into Kiramaging to fight the monster and also Garuza in his black dino train.
Smog jockey.
And then Jiro gets an idea, puts the redstone on autopilot, jumps into the white train, and is like, hey, what if I just... And then he hijacks Smog Jockey.
While being a brat and insulting him the whole time.
And while Garu's is locked inside of the damn thing.
Like, Jiru's a pirate, like, straight up.
And one of the best. He's certainly no Marvelous, but
he would do Marvelous proud.
Oh, yes. Yeah, oh, yes, because he's a much better pirate than Doc.
Oh. So is anyone.
True, Guy was a better one than Doc.
Doc's whole character arc was that no one cared about him because he was no one.
And his fighting style was to run around like a coward and roll on the ground and hide.
He was a pacifist.
And just be very lucky with crap.
So Jiru combines the 2 mechs together and effectively takes control of both of them.
The best part of that, I feel, was when Garuza goes, "Fine, screw you. I'm just going to use my finisher."
Right, and just the like goes, quit hitting yourself kind of moment that's about to happen, and then Jiru's just like, "Nope, bail.
Nope, disconnect, and now you hit."
Well,
now
actually,
you hit
he
your
looks at him. They have that moment of looking at each other, and he goes, "I can use this."
Yeah,
he bounced out, turned back to a dinosaur, and accidentally fired it. The Jumanji. And then
Jiru hijacks it again. So this is what I mean when I say that you can make Red more special than the others without making him the only one that matters. Because we've been getting, each character has been getting their episode that showcases their character. This is just Red's episode, and it's just a bigger moment than the others got.
Right, and it's done very well, and it's a way to have him outshine the rest, but still makes everybody else feel useful and needed.
And can we appreciate the fact he was being a brat through this whole thing? When he did that, he literally went, nah.
It's like, yes, Jiru solos the monster here, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because he's not doing it every single episode and stealing the spotlight.
Right, because he can only do it when Garuza shows up with a freaking smog jockey. If he doesn't show up with then he can't steal it.
Like, just a few episodes ago, Tametono was literally screwing around with the monster himself, so it's not like Jiru is the only one doing this.
Right. And then, even before that, we had Blue, who pretty much soloed his monster. Once they got the, vice
Yeah.
thingy off.
So like everyone gets their moment. Jiru's was just a bigger moment. This is
Because
how
he could
you
make.
do a red.
And that's not taking anything away from any of the other Reds that we've seen. Well, except for maybe Ninja, because
I was
that was a
literally
shitty
making
red.
shots at Ninja.
Yeah, because
I was throwing shade that way.
uh, fuck, Ninja's red was terrible. And I mean, to be fair, it wasn't the only one that they kind of did that with too, because Shinkenger kind of went that way after a while too, in terms of like power ups and stuff. But overall, this is just a more balanced version that we've been getting. Because usually when they showcase the red, it's Ranger, red, and it's now kind of like more
Right.
balanced where it should be.
We've gotten quite a few Red and his amazing friends.
Yeah, unfortunately, like seems to have the red level figured out for the moment. There's no guarantee it'll stay that way.
I'm hoping that when the toy sales truly kick in, or sorry, the toy advertisements truly kick in, we get something we haven't gotten in a long time. The full team power up.
Yes. Chohenshin. Sorry, I followed back to Ghost Ager. On
Yeah,
that.
I was trying to think when the last time we got it was. I got as far as Geki Ranger.
Ghost Ager had one.
And I think that was it.
Others had them in technicality.
Sharing a power up doesn't count. I mean the full team power up.
Right.
So yeah, I think Ghost Sager might have been the last one.
Master mode for Geki Ranger.
Ghost Sager came after that.
Okay. Go Buster.
Oh yeah, Go Buster. Yeah.
They're power modes.
Yeah, because the 6-member doesn't count, so that excludes both Jin and Jay. So yeah, Go Buster.
But yeah, it's been a while since we've seen that, and yeah, sorry, Pixie, you don't know what that is yet. We'll get to that. But I'm really hoping that that's the case, and I kind of hope we get at least one power up before 6 gets here. But given the fact that we haven't gotten any type of we haven't gotten any scans for any kind of like power ups or anything else.
The catalog scans are out, and those are usually showcasing what's to come in like the next month or so.
Right, and it's literally just 6.
So I don't think we're getting any power ups, which is weird.
Which
we've usually gotten like twice as much as what we've gotten so far.
Right, and that could be a good thing, because at that point it would give it set up for them to do a full 6 team up power up.
That'd be unique.
Instead of excluding 6 like they normally do.
Yeah, that'd be a first. That'd be cool. I'd be down for that.
As much as I'm irritated by his color. And somewhat not okay with the look of him.
But we'll get to that.
It could be like I pointed out before with this one, that they're focusing a lot more on children with this series, whereas we've seen more darker storylines and stuff previously. This one seems to be much more kid-friendly, kid-oriented, so they may be focusing more on toy sales. Power-ups don't translate to toys very well.
Oh, you would be surprised.
Yeah, even if it's not a physical power-up, any kind of special weapon that they use is a toy sale. Anything
that they use to transform to that form is a toy.
Any
Um,
additional attachments that come with an auxiliary mech is a toy.
like the amount that they do for toys. I'll equate it to Ryder since you've seen more Ryder. Um, you've seen. I'll use Deno for example. His his belt's a toy. His sword's a toy. At which point his axe, spear, and gun are a toy. Then he gets his climax mode, and that cell phone is a toy. Then he gets his other form, and that sword becomes becomes a toy. It's any little thing that they can literally make a toy out of, they do.
Or Ryu Soldier last year, where they would have power up forms that would add a special armor on top of their suits, and they had like 6 or 7 of them, and those were all toys.
So like the chain mace,
I don't know. I'm just
And-
saying we already have a lot of toys.
and
up to
half
this
of
point,
those-
way more than we've had before with the series.
No, we
So
haven't.
they may be having to
Actually,
slow down.
honestly-
This is under
honestly-
par. We've gotten.
honestly, yeah, it is.
The only additional toys beyond the base team we've gotten would be the 3 auxiliary mechs that have shown up. That's under
And-
par.
And now the new mech.
And now the
I
new
don't
mech.
know.
But yeah, usually by
I
now,
started watching this with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in the 90s until you
Um,
drug me back in with Rio Soldier. So I don't know.
Like,
but yeah, by now usually there's a new weapon, or they start hinting at new crap, which is gonna. But they haven't hinted at anything beyond 6.
like there's at least one like power up suit by now. Going back quite a ways actually. I want to say as far back as at least Ninja, like there's been like an actual like suit power up by now.
Yeah, even if it was just a one-off.
Tokuger didn't have one by the time their 6 was introduced, because instead they had the transfer changes.
Right. And then hell,
Kiramager also did not have one, because instead of having a 6-member team, they're having a 10-member team, so they were already introducing additional members by the time their 6 showed up.
and then with Q Ranger we had Pegasus by now.
Yeah, Pegason.
The one-off that ended up not being a one-off because they broke the first one.
Go Busters actually did poorly on toy sales because it didn't follow the standard formula. And then Go Kaiger had all of the mech stuff going on for it.
And then all of the keys as they got released, which that was just more accessories for the gun.
Oh yeah, Kiramager had like all of the batteries for each mech.
So like they had a lot to go with in the fact that this is actually underpowered. I don't see it staying that way, but it could, given the fact of like the villains are more old school Sentai.
Lupin
they-
versus Pat wasn't even very toy sale heavy, and it still had more than what was going on here, because they had 2 additional mechs plus the special weapons like the boomerang and such.
Yeah, the scissors and blade.
Yep.
And we do have a comment. Springtime Bonnie says King's Express concept and color scheme mirrors the ride crosser from Kamen Rider Drive.
I haven't seen Drive, so
Right.
Vashi, that's you.
Oh yes. Mock and Chaser. They end up either one of them can use it. But they're basically their bikes connect and one of them gets chucked out of it. So like So if Chaser's the one who accidentally activates it, intentionally activate it, whichever one it happens to be,
Oh.
Mock will get kicked out of it.
Oh, that's
And if
hilarious.
and if Mock's doing it, Chaser gets kicked out of it.
Oh. Drive sounds like it was a fun series to watch.
It really was, and honestly, I don't know why Zero's so hard on it.
Oh man, I'm on break from school. I need to watch it. I got time
Yes.
now.
Drive was really good. Drive's the one that we started me on. And I really liked it. The only negative about Drive is towards the end of it. It kind of loses its way a little bit, but it's overall a good story.
Oh, it's not so much that it loses its way, is it tries to make movies canon while not making them canon. It's in a dumb way. And the end of it kind of gets drug out a little bit further than it should. And like Zero's whole comment about like Heart being the final villain. No, Heart was not the final boss.
Is it like
The
a
final boss
gremlin thing?
was no. The final boss is literally a MacGuffin.
That sounds
It's
gross.
a literal MacGuffin of, hey, we're gonna do that. We're gonna use this device
Well,
to.
you can't say it without ruining it for you, right? You
Yeah,
just need to watch it.
it's a MacGuffin. It's something that should have never happened.
Perfect. So back to Kiramager.
It wasn't me. I mean, it was earlier, but it wasn't me this time.
So Juru gets his revenge on the others by giving them an art lesson. And gets to critique their artwork because all their drawings are flat. Sayo's Sayo's the model. Sayo's the model. Tametono's isn't quite flat, but he drew two left hands and gets all pissy when Juru points it out.
And he tells Green that she drew a hieroglyph.
You cut out there, but we got that. Egyptian hieroglyph.
Yeah, an Egyptian hieroglyph. And then Blue is just one step above a stick figure.
My kind of drawing.
And then he yells at Sayo for moving.
Models aren't supposed to move. I had that problem in my middle school art class when I went up to pose for the model. My body was literally shaking. I held the pose, but like I was vibrating.
And then the fact, I'm pretty sure it was Yellow who said he's the strictest one of us all.
Which isn't true. He's just being all pissy because he can't draw.
Yeah. Now, if he was able to draw it with a gun, he may have been better at it. But I do love the fact that the pose they put Sayo in is her little helicopter pose. Like the mid that, it was cute.
So, next episode preview, it's going to be a Senna episode about an old rival for something Senna used to take part in.
There is something that we did happen to skip over.
Go on.
Tarantula showing up and
shitting himself.
Again, doing his standard thing of Garuza is scary, and then Garuza unlocking his Jiku mental, or whatever the hell they called it.
His dark power.
Which apparently is surprising that he has it and none of them do, because he's a Crystallian.
Yeah, it's more the surprising because he's a Crystallian, and it's pretty and beautiful and light power, and he has the evil powers.
His brother Complex unlocked it.
Who knows? He may start issuing insurance policies.
God, like Do
Which I'm glad didn't get brought up this episode.
because they already had the monster out there, they didn't need it. So Oven's insurance policy, which we know he had, was effectively wasted.
Must have went to his other relative, Cooler.
So
No, wait, no. Sorry, Goku kicked his ass. My bad. Hello, folks. That's the dumbest joke you'll hear from me.
no, it's not.
Yeah,
There'll be more.
That's the dumbest one you'll hear today.
Possibly.
Tune in tomorrow. You'll hear another dumb one.
Possibly worse. So, like, Garuza clearly has something that made him hate his brother so much. And this show is going to cover it at some point because they're emphasizing it so much. But my question is, do you actually want to know what it is, or are you too worried that it will not live up to the expectations that it's creating?
To me, it all depends on when they cover it. I'm going to mention a couple of series that Pixie hasn't seen yet, so I'll try to avoid spoilers on that. Yeah, that's not going to help. You've got headphones on.
That was the joke. Why did you bring it up?
I couldn't let it go. We've had series where they kind of drew out like a big reveal of something that was supposed to be super important, and
Agito.
Yes, Agito was the main one I was referring.
I could see it in your face.
And then the Corvo thing with Kiramager.
God, that one was dumb.
So there's a possibility that it's gonna be terrible.
I still don't get it.
There was a purpose to it, but the purpose never amounted to anything.
It fell super flat.
Because they didn't do anything with it. There was no impact for it. Like there should have been.
Like the whole Precious thing.
See, the Precious, the reveal on that one, while it didn't really change anything, it was a worthwhile reveal because it put everything that we'd been dealing with into perspective.
Oh, what reveal are we talking about?
Yeah.
Like the whole Hellas Real Soldier.
Oh, that one.
Jordan.
Oh, that was like the missing puzzle piece that made the image make sense. That was like Vashi said, that literally put everything into perspective, and suddenly all the questions we had, like pretty much all of them were answered from that. Whereas there's a certain plot point in Kiramager where you think that the puzzle makes sense as you're putting the pieces together, and then they give you this piece that you think wouldn't fit, but you put it in and it fits, but now the picture doesn't make sense anymore.
It just didn't do much for me because, like, that's it. You were just told to hate them, and so you do. Okay.
Well, like, the point was that they lost their way over time. They forgot what their true purpose was.
And to argue against how Pixie put that is like they literally got their instructions from God. So like, yeah, God, you would blind most.
Hellas is the mother of all droidons, so they're effectively listening to their parent.
Yeah,
I know, but still, it's just kind of meh. I mean, with others, there's usually something bad that happens that spurs the hate.
I guess the context is that you joined in the final arc, So
And
you
you
didn't
missed
build
the
up.
build up.
You didn't. Yeah, you missed like all the build up and all of the like subtle lore hints that were like present throughout the series that made you question like, okay, so where exactly did the Droodon come from? Why are they here? Like, what have they been doing? We had a lot of questions that weren't getting answered that suddenly fell into place with that reveal.
Um,
So, anyways, back to
um,
Kiramager.
but yeah, it was like there are times where drawing it out could suck, or drawing it out could be really, really good. So I'm kind of. It all depends on how they end up doing it.
I'm
Um,
hoping for like a big time parental smackdown on Garuza that made him hate his brother. I'm hoping they're going to go that route.
like I mean, if they could even go so far as the whole, oh well, their dad was king and their dad decided like to go the whole Thor and Loki route of no, fuck you, I was more fit to be king. Why'd you pick him? I'll be pissed if that's the reasoning that they give for why he hates his brother so much.
Garuza just couldn't wait to be king.
Yeah,
Scar and Mufasa.
but like I said, it's like there are reveals that are fantastic, and then there's ones that are dumb. Like, for another dumb one, Ninja. The fact that one of the villains was an old student of their grandfather.
So I haven't actually seen a ninja. I've just like got all my knowledge secondhand, and like the fucking tease at the very end of the show when they're fighting that villain and they pull out the thing, it like that. Just hearing about it pisses me off.
Yeah, I still haven't finished it.
Oh, do you know what I'm talking
I
about?
Yes, I know what you're talking about, but I've literally gotten to the sun shows up.
Or like
And
Sailor Moon and the whole Black Lady thing. She became Black Lady just because her parents told her to get up and walk herself.
like
One of the
summer
dumbest reasons ever for somebody to turn wicked was because their parents said, "No, you're perfectly fine. Get up."
Oh man, like we're talking about dumb backstories now, and it made me think of one. I don't know if I should say it or not.
go for it.
So in My Little Pony,
Do it.
there's 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 a villain.
I'm laughing. I'm laughing because I know she'll know exactly what.
There's a villain who became evil and grew up to enslave her hometown because when she was a kid, her friend moved away.
And I can see the smoke.
I can't do it on here. I'm gonna play the trump card of brain injury, and I don't remember nothing.
Like
What are we talking about?
Starlight Glimmer.
Oh,
Did you forget that was her backstory?
yeah.
Yeah, no. Her friend, like, she's like effectively 5 years old. Her best friend moves away to go to prestigious school.
Yeah, I remember it
and
now.
she gets mad
I didn't know
and
you were
grows up
Bernie.
to enslave her hometown. Eventually planning to expand further across the country, but at no point during her entire life made any attempts to actually reach out to her old friend. In fact, it's pretty clear that if she had tried to, she could have gotten accepted into that prestigious cool school with him, like a couple years later.
And you have to give me credit because I didn't know you were a brony. I never thought you'd bring up My Little Pony.
Uh,
I'm thinking anime, I'm thinking Kamen Rider.
I will admit I forgot. I found out about that when the whole movie was getting ready to come out.
that
I
movie was good.
completely forgot. I'll admit I watched half of it.
Oh, you'll be watching a lot more once I'm there. I've only seen through season 3. I need to finish watching.
I'll just get another TV and just watch
Oh
Ryder.
no. Oh no. You have to watch with me.
Uh, anyways, back to Kiramager.
Back to Kiramager. So I'm looking forward to next week's episode because I love Ghosts from Your Past stories.
I like him too. I'm just really confused of what the hell is going on and how she has
I
ties
can tell
to
you.
poetry thing. Well, no, it's just more the whole how she has ties to shit to, whatever the hell that feudal Japan poem thing is.
It's going to be a brains over brawn lesson episode. This is going to be where we find out why she probably went to sports.
For me, the appeal of watching these episodes is so that this character, you can see the growth that the character went through of like, I'm not the same person I was back then, this is who I am now. And even though we'll retroactively be learning about what she was like in the past, seeing her like overcome her past in the present is still meaningful to me. I still enjoy seeing that.
It's
Very
why
much.
no, like it's why I like the Sayo episode, because that's essentially what the Sayo episode was.
Just weird execution.
Right.
All right, let's try that again. Can y'all hear me?
Yes. Now we can.
Well, I was about to bring that up because me and Vashi had quite the argument over the Pink Ranger's backstory episode.
What do you mean?
Y'all didn't like it at all, whereas I liked it because you got to see the growth of this character. You got to see how she became so much stronger. And again, this is very kid focused this time. So it's also sending out the message that you can be a crybaby and still become better than that.
Right. It was the execution and timing of it, given the fact that they were doing the character flaw episodes as character introductions, and whereas that there was no character flaw beyond the one that she had overcome as a kid, so there was no growth for her character at the time in the present, which is where they were covering.
I was
that
literally
was our issue.
trying to remember, like, what was it about the episode we didn't like, and that was it. It was that Sayo doesn't have any flaws for her to overcome, and so the way they decided to tackle was to regress her into a 5-year-old and have her re-overcome a challenge she already overcame. Like, in the episode coming, Cena is going to overcome a ghost from her past that's come back to haunt her, and we can kind of see that, like, alright, she's a different person than she used to be. But with Sayo, we just kind of got, alright, head injury, she's 5 years old again, watch her be a 5-year-old.
Right, and I get that, but with the things I've watched that are more kid learning focused and whatnot, you see that a lot in those. So this wasn't so much as a personal growth episode as it was a backstory and empowerment to the current little kiddies watching. Here's a lesson.
Okay.
Take it and run.
You keep going back to how this is more of a kid-friendly show, but that's what this series is. It's targeted towards kids, and this isn't the only like kid-specific show. Like Real Soldier last year was also a much more kid-friendly one because they wanted to boost toy sales, but it still carried the weight of its own plotline with it.
Yeah, I just mean that with that one, it still had more dark episodes, and I think they're swinging too light with this one.
Oh, trust
So
me,
we're gonna have
Oh,
more episodes like this.
I will go ahead and say, well, yes, this has started out a lot lighter than a lot of others have. There will be darkness in this show. It is guaranteed. They always tackle something dark,
they're
be it
literally setting it up with Garuza, like whatever his true like reason for hating his brother is.
it's gonna be something very impactful, something that, and this is the point that like the way the Japanese teach their kids and what they allow their kids to watch versus us in the US is it's a drastically different shift. Whereas when you think kid shows here, you think Paw
Yeah,
Patrol,
And like,
Wiggles. Whereas
that's what I
they
mean. Like we're
they tackle
used to with them, it's more head on, upfront issues, and then being used to seeing that in their shows, and then seeing this Kiramager where it's very
it's like
funny.
you
softened compared to what we saw with Rio Soldier, what we seen with Kamen
like
Rider.
Key Ranger was a series about an intergalactic army trying to take over the universe. And like in the first episode, you meet like the sole survivor of a species that was nearly drove to extinction by the Dark Empire. The first arc is one of the most upbeat and child-friendly arcs in Sentai you will ever see.
It also includes love if you watch the Henshin lessons.
Uh,
Um, it so we're not upset that the episode happened in any way, shape, or form. It was more of
we're
the time. We're upset about the timing of it.
And in my case, I'm also upset about the execution as I feel like it didn't quite
Oh
hit the
yeah,
mark.
they
Um,
could have done better with that.
like
But
this
I
could have
don't
been
think it would ever be a good time to throw that in there.
like this could have been an episode where even just so much as like with what they're
It may
starting
have
next,
just been a filler episode too.
they could have done the whole Pink Floyd episode, and then to Red, and then next week did the whole Ghost. Starting next week, do the whole Ghost of Your Passing. That would have fit in there if they would tweaked it just a little bit beyond making her literally 5.
Like, the thing about filler episode is that it really comes down to your perspective because a filler episode is like literally something that doesn't progress the plot in any way. But Sentai is more than just the actual like good versus evil plotline. It's also the growth of the characters. So that we did get development for Sayo's character in that episode, it's technically not filler. But if you're only watching this for the good versus evil stuff, then you probably would see it as filler.
About the only thing that I've seen in Sentai in years that I would truly say is filler was the unspeakable episode of Lupat.
And I will vouch for any recap episodes that did not add anything else to the show.
That too. And there are series that do very good
I
recap
don't think we're
episodes.
far enough in that yet.
Oh
Oh
no, we're
no,
not getting one in Kiramager for months. But
we're
the
we
Well, I've
problem
been on
is,
Blue Hat.
the
Me
problem
and Cassie
is,
have started watching Blue Hat.
we're getting one.
that we and if they go with the route that they've been going, we'll probably get at least 2.
I think I've seen up to where are we with Blue Hat? I don't. Oh, the silver rain, gold and silver just showed up. That's as far as I've gotten in Blue Hat.
Yeah, Noel showed up.
Okay, so I was gonna say something else. Oh, right, right. So I am kind of noticing a pattern, though. So Sayo had an episode about her brave moment when she was 5 that defined her character. Tametono had an episode about not being able to confront people because when he did so as a child, it went poorly. And now Cena's getting a ghost from her past episode. So it seems like each character is getting an episode reflecting on a defining moment from their past. So I'm hoping that they carry that forward and we get something about Shigeru and maybe like why he's so serious or why he's such an expert in kendo, and one for Juru.
I'm going to say most likely. I agree with what we've seen. We're going to get one for each of.
And hopefully they're all executed as well as they can be, while still keeping the lighthearted feel that we have as of right now.
All right, so thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow for Kamen Rider Zero One, uh, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you all for listening. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy your nights.
Pixie, you want to say bye?
Sure. Bye. Keep sparkling.